I just wanted to get this out of the way first and foremost. Within this review, I did say I was going to try to get this out much earlier than it's going to be coming out, and that is because, well, I'm still very new to editing, and I wanted to put a little more flair into this than usual, and my virtual mixer settings were all weird, so it recorded weird. So there's just a lot of stuff I had to do, a lot of stuff I wasn't used to. I wanted to use better video than just rips off of YouTube. So yes, this is going to be coming out a lot later than I intended, and I am sorry for that. But with that out of the way, let's get on to our review, and hopefully I'll get better and be able to get these out faster.
Buzz, buzz, up and down, my kids come to town from the USA, lost in Japan.
And it's the beginning of a new show. Welcome to Generation Gap, the anime show, where I show the old fart over there one episode of an anime per week, and he reviews it.
Alright, bring it on.
And this week we saw episode 1 of One Punch Man, The Strongest Man. So, first and foremost, what'd you think, just overall? And I'll get into specifics.
I think the artist was confused of what style he wanted to go with.
What do you mean?
Because in some scenes you saw kind of clear, very clean cut artistry, and other scenes is like comic bookish kind of characters, and it's like the theme or the style wasn't the same throughout.
This is really what I meant. Okay, so did you like it? That's what I meant by overall.
Can't say they did. I mean, I didn't. They didn't really establish anything. Okay, I get it. One Punch Man, everybody dies, but why? I don't understand how he became this way.
Well, it's the first episode. They're just establishing the character of Saitama.
Well, did they really establish a character? They established that he has his ability, but did they establish? I mean,
okay, let's go through what happened. Give me a rundown of the episode as you remembered it.
All right, they started off of how he sort of got into the superhero. Well, they started off initially where he's like some alien forces attacking the nation, and superhero league can't handle it. So he's like, I guess I gotta go do this thing because they can't handle it. Then they do a flashback to when he started to become a hero, and then they do like an episode, or they do like 2 series where he fights 2 villains. So I just was really cut up, and I don't understand where they're going with it. First of all, how the superhero villain or superhero league come about? And there was a lot of I want to say like cartoon inputs, whereas like, the flag saying, I'm sorry about that, and and the butt-faced kid drawing the nipples, and
Well, I'm going to give my own version of the rundown, so basically how it goes that you have the city being attacked by Vaccine Man. One Punch Man kills him. Then you have a flashback to where he kills, I think the guy's name is Crabalante. One Punch Man, before he became One Punch Man, saves a kid from him. Then you have One Punch Man killing the quote-unquote strongest guy after he's...
Oh, I forgot about that,
Yeah, interrupted him shopping. And on his way home, there was some custom car guy that he beat really quickly.
No, the Subterraneans were before the custom car.
No, the Subterraneans were after the custom car guy. He beat the custom car guy before he went to bed.
Okay.
That's what I'm dealing with, folks.
Well, but I'm saying it doesn't flow. It doesn't flow. I mean,
it's establishing a day-to-day for Saitama.
Okay.
It's introducing the character as he is at this point. before he's going to go through anything that the series is going to put him through. In establishing who he is, how his life is done, and why he has, and what the conflict is. And the conflict right now is that he doesn't feel fulfilled in his fights. Because all of these villains, they will show up, introduce themselves, give their long backstories, and it doesn't matter because he knows it's going to end in one punch.
Yeah, which, okay, with the Subterraneans, he's like, all of a sudden, I feel alive again, but then he was killing them with one punch anyway.
Yes, but they demonstrated this with the Strongest Man guy. The Strongest Man, he threw him into buildings, punched us so hard he put a giant hole in the ground, and none of that was doing anything to Saitama. He came out completely unscathed.
Okay.
And so, in his, I'm going to spoil it right now, dream version of the Subterraneans, that first attack they got at him, it hurt him. They were actually like, there was actually a rush. He was actually in danger if he didn't win. And that's part of the thing with his fighting. Like, it ends in one punch and he always comes out unhurt.
Oh, okay.
So it's an unfulfilling form of fighting. So this entire first episode was sort of to set that up. And so, like, after his,
Where are these villains coming from?
I'm gonna be straight with you, One Punch Man is kind of a parody of the shonen genre of anime. So there's no real explanation. Well, they all have explanations for where they're coming from in their long backstories.
Yeah, the Toxic Man was actually a pretty good backstory.
But they're kind of saying it doesn't matter because they're just going to get beaten anyway. And they're going to get into that more in the next couple episodes, which will be a couple weeks.
I mean, of all the backstories, I like the Toxic Man.
Vaccine Man.
Vaccine Man, yeah.
They're actually making a game for this soon. And he's a playable character.
But, I mean...
Against all odds.
I guess maybe if they give more backstory, but right now it's a dud in my book.
So let's get into specifics. What did you think of the music?
Actually, I enjoyed the music throughout the music. I thought was relevant. The tempo changed and it set the mood. So from what other things you showed me, the openings, I didn't like them, but this music it had a more of an 80s flair kind of.
That violin theme at the end.
Yeah. So I enjoyed the music.
Yeah, so like that, and you said something earlier. You said something about the animation, how it sort of flip flopped.
Yeah, because you get you have like the scenery around the town and
it's very detailed.
Very detailed. The office workers seeing the explosion, and everything. Then you go to like the scene where Crabtoid and Buttface Kid, and it's very cartoonish.
Well.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, no, a lot of characters are going to come off cartoony because it's just sort of like it has different styles for different characters.
Even
it's inconsistent.
They initially when they did a flashback to where he started, he had a very businessman-like, and then they changed him into this, if you ask me, a more cartoonish kind of looking character, because I know they have the ability to draw him.
Well, with like his more thinner eyes versus the big sort of unfocused eyes.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of like supposed to and you'll see this more throughout the show. It's supposed to represent his mentality at the time.
Oh.
So if he's like in the more detailed, smaller eyes, sort of like more lines on the face mode, he's in serious mode. If he's in with like the small mouth,
and
simple expressions.
What's up with the cat? Did he show no other animals whatsoever? But they like 3 scenes where there's a cat involved.
I don't know, a cat never becomes plot relevant as far as I know.
Yeah. Does the cat keep showing up?
I didn't really notice a cat.
Yeah, and then he does some obscure things, like when he's checking out a market, he's like, oh, well, I have he starts
Well, like,
digging.
haven't you done that before? Where like they'll say, "Oh, it's 4.50," and then you give a 5, and then you're like, "Oh wait, I have 2 quarters."
Right. I understand the concept, but how's that applied to the plot of this series?
Well, that's because this whole thing. This is like, again, they're showing like his life, or like the monster showing up, or just sort of like his day-to-day life as much as shopping is. Is it? I think you'll get a hold of the parody elements more as we go on, especially with the next couple episodes.
I hope so.
Let's see, animation, music. Did you like? I saw you giggling. Did you like the comedy aspects?
I did. I thought they were well placed. Just the way they put them in. It was, I guess, overboard the way they put it in.
Yeah.
But it was, like when he tricked the strongest man to kill his brother.
I don't think anybody was tricked. I think the strongest man was just dumb.
Yeah, and then, which I don't understand where strong equals dumb. I don't understand that.
Well, that was sort of the thing. It was like those 2 characters, if they were full-fledged villains in like a show, it'd be like the brother would be the brains, and the other brother would just be the big strong guy that's told where to go by the brains.
Right.
And that's the thing I kind of like about the show, is that they have such detailed character designs and concepts for these villains that are frankly never going to be used again.
Right.
And that's again where the whole parody is. They try and make these full-fledged villains that are just going to be beat in one episode.
But the Subterraneans weren't beaten; they just retreated.
Yeah, well, because you're comparing the Dream Subterraneans to the actual Subterraneans.
Oh, there was a difference. I didn't catch it when he went into Dream mode.
Well, when he was like actually having a fight, and he's like, "Oh, this place is under my protection." And, like the big guy with the sword showed up.
Yeah.
And then the alarm clock went off, and that was a dream.
Oh, okay.
And then when they actually showed up, he was expecting, like in his dream, to have a real fight.
Oh, okay.
And then they weren't.
Oh, okay. So I guess we'll like you said, I come to judgment a little quick, so we'll give it a couple more.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like with this kind of stuff, you need to give it a couple episodes.
I mean, compared to other ones, I like JoJo's better.
Yeah. Well, you've seen more of JoJo.
Yeah.
We saw like 3 episodes of that.
Yeah.
And like with One Punch Man, it builds up its characters. Like this episode introduced the main character, One Punch Man. The next episode is going to set up one of his foils, which is the cyborg I was talking about.
Okay.
And then the 3rd episode, they actually get up to one of their adventures.
Okay.
And it builds up from there. And then I think after that, they're going to start explaining the Hero Association.
Oh, okay.
And there are some OVAs that were made after the show that take place in between different episodes.
Right.
So I'm gonna throw those in too. So we watch everything in chronological order. Sorry guys, future Zach interjecting it here again. I actually did some more research after this, and we're not going to be watching the OVAs because they were written by a completely different set of people, and their people only recommended watching them if you're going back after the fact. So I might watch the OVAs and make a video on that, but I'm not going to show them to my dad, so I just wanted to say that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Which is going to be new to me too, because I haven't seen the OVAs, I've just seen the season proper.
Oh, okay.
So those will be interesting when we watch them, and I will make this its own playlist so that everything's in order. And honestly, I think my favorite part of this episode in particular is just sort of the just seeing like when they go ham with the animation, like during the subterranean fight.
They go what?
Ham, just like full, just put everything into it. It's like constant motion. No reuse cells, everything's just happening.
Yeah.
And it's never confusing. Like, you can tell what's going on.
My best part was this when he fought the strongest man.
Strongest.
I the I guess their development of the backstory for their monsters or villains is actually pretty good. So. That actually, you can see intellect trying to, actually explain and create and where it all comes together. Unlike the hot rod guy, he's just like
There.
俺は世界で一番強い男を目指していた。最強の男。それが俺の夢。
キョーキョキョキョー、ついに究極のステロイド上腕二頭キングが完成した。弟よ、これを飲めば求めていた力が手に入るぞ。
これ飲むの？
ああ、飲みやすいようにイチゴ味にしておいたぞ。
兄さん。
これならいけるぞ。ベリベリー見られずまったらスカだね。俺はバリカスタムよろしく Z マーク2様だ。車を改造する。
以前は戦いの中で様々な感情が渦巻いていた。恐怖、焦り、怒り。
もし俺様の邪魔をするってんなら貴様のご自慢のヘッドライトをテールラップ。
And that's kind of the idea. Like I said, it's a parody. It's a well done parody of that.
And he was the Subtrains and the Hot Rod dude were like weak on the anime.
Well,
you know what it reminds me of?
What?
Power Rangers, actually. Not the one punch thing, but the villains.
I can see where you get that with like the Hot Rod guy.
And the Toxicity Man or whatever.
Vaccine Man.
Vaccine Man.
Actually, I think Vaccine Man looks like, you wouldn't know this, but Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah, he did. That's when I first saw him, I'm like, they're kind of stealing from Dragon Ball Z, aren't they?
Which is where I think that's the most blatant they get when they're parodying anything.
Yeah. But I mean, that's... Yeah, so it'll be interesting if they can keep up this development of villains.
There's a certain character I'm excited for you to see, and I hope you get the reference when he comes up. But that's not for like a few 6 episodes, so
that's like September.
Yeah. So I think what if you had to give it like a lighter grade, just this episode specifically?
I'm gonna go with B. I found the parts of it and the villain development, the music, and the comedy aspect was above average for what I expected. But then there's parts where I just didn't like it, so I can't give it a solid A. But I'm gonna go for a start with a B, with the fresh out of the gate. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with it. It's a solid starting episode. Introduce you to the character of One Punch Man really well, so I go with the B+. So I think that's gonna do it for our first review or for Generation Gap the animation.
All right.
I'm gonna get editing on this. This might we record this and the podcast at a similar time, so this will either come out alongside the podcast or a day after the podcast, depending on how much how much editing flair I decide to put into this one since it's shorter. But hopefully it'll be up to par, and I'll see you guys then when it's uploaded.
All right. Peace out.
Hey!